Welcome to the screencast for ELL364 Constructed Languages. This is a team-taught module with lectures from both English Language and Linguistics and English Language and Literature. I'm the convener, Robin Orfatelli. My main areas of research are in language acquisition and syntactic structure. I'm joined by Graham Williams, who studies historical change in language, especially in the area of pragmatics, Gabriel Ozone, who studies language contact and world Englishes, and Jane Hodson, who studies the representation of language in literature, particularly dialect. In this course, we're going to be looking at the properties of constructed languages, also called conlangs. These are languages that are created for books, television, and film, often sci-fi and fantasy. Although there are also conlangs that are created for scientific, social, or historical reasons. And in fact, we'll be looking at Esperanto, the most widely spoken conlang in existence. The first area that we'll look at is the grammatical patterns that underlie conlangs, and we'll be comparing these to other human languages. So we'll be examining phonological rules and syntactic structure. We'll be asking, do we find similar constituency patterns? Do we find similar processes applying in these two different types of languages? We'll also get the chance to look at the first language acquisition of conlangs. Now, when conlangs are acquired naturally by children, it's often in a bilingual context, so we'll be able to compare how the conlang is acquired to how the other language is acquired and ask, do the kind of universal properties of language acquisition that we see, typologically, also occur in conlang acquisition? We're also going to look at patterns of historical change in conlangs. So when we see conlangs represented both in an older variant and a more quote-unquote modern variant, do the differences between those two match on to the types of differences that we see as languages naturally change over time? So how much does Old Elvish look like Old English, and do the changes that we see applying to create modern Elvish and modern English look similar? One of the areas that we're going to be able to really compare conlangs to already spoken human languages in the area of creoles. There look to be a number of really interesting similarities between a wide number of created conlangs and the way that creoles naturally form. Lastly, we'll be looking at the textual use and representation of conlangs in literature. This is going to raise a lot of kind of big picture important questions about interacting with the role of identity, gender representation, the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, and a number of other things. As we ask all of these questions, we're going to be using data from actual conlangs. A few of the conlangs that we'll use include Elvish, Klingon, Dothraki, Newspeak, and, as I mentioned earlier, Esperanto. But we'll be looking at a lot of other conlangs in addition to these. Once you've taken this course, you will be equipped to take the linguistic and literary theory that you've already been learning in other courses and apply it to constructed languages. You'll be able to compare constructed languages to so-called natural human languages in terms of both their linguistic structure and their textual representation. And lastly, you'll get the chance to conduct independent research into an unknown language. In this case, for this course, it will be a constructed language, but the same principles apply when you're looking at unfamiliar languages that are spoken or signed anywhere in the world. In terms of assessment, there will be two. Both of them are essays that will focus on some topic that we've covered in the course. The teaching format will consist of 1 hour of lecture where we'll introduce new concepts in one of the major areas that I outlined before, and then a seminar where we actually apply these concepts to conlang data in smaller groups. There are a couple of prerequisites for the course, ELL 112, 113, and 114. The majority of your readings will come from the textbook The Art of Language Invention by David Peterson, who actually is the creator of Dothraki. But there will be supplemental articles that are provided through MOL for some of the lecture topics. Hopefully by this point you're really excited to learn all about conlangs and how they relate to human language. But if you have any questions or want to ask anything else, you can contact me at r.orfatelli@sheffield.ac.uk.